Hi, everyone. My name is Rocco Pacella. I'm the marketing manager here at Pittcon. I'd just like to thank again everyone for attending today's webinar. I have a few housekeeping items here that I'd like to address. So first of all, at Pittcon, as Jefferson mentioned, as part of the benefit of exhibiting, we want to help you go into the best practices and really learn from what we've learned in the past 75 years of our existence and what people like Jefferson have learned. So our mission really is not to just rent you some concrete. We want you to succeed because your success is our success inevitably. And one benefit we do provide to support that is the ESRC, or the Exhibitor Support and ROI Center. So I urge everyone to visit that to find out the best practices that I mentioned before, to ask us questions, to ask Jefferson questions. And while you're there, you can go to pittcon.org/exhibitor to get there. You can also see our various sponsorship offerings. And if you are one of the exhibitors on this webinar that have not registered yet, please consider registering for a booth for Pittcon 2022. So another question that many people have been asking is what we're going to do with regard to COVID, with regard to the coronavirus safety. So right now, the Pittcon staff and our organizing committee, we're working with the Georgia World Congress Center, which by default means that we're working with the state of Georgia to determine the best course of action with regard to the safety of everyone, of all of our participants. So we can easily follow the same safety precautions that other conferences have, and we all know that. We've all been to these conferences. However, we realized that the situation overall is very dynamic, as was proven over the past year and a half. And that you all deserve a well-planned safety strategy. So we're monitoring the situation as the world begins to reopen to international travel, which we're very much looking forward to. We expect to make an announcement here within the next 2 weeks, and rest assured, the course of action that we decide to take is still going to promote the greatest benefit that we have at Pittcon to offer you, which is the in-person scientific connectivity and the collaboration that is part of our show. So moving on, Jefferson Davis. I've had the opportunity to work with Jefferson for the 2+ years that I've been at Pittcon. I can say without a doubt that I rely on Jefferson's perspective on all things related to expositions and exhibitor success. This webinar is the tip of the iceberg to the conversations that Jefferson and I have been having leading up to it. Jefferson founded Competitive Edge in 1991. So today, this very year, we're taking part in what amounts to 30 years of exhibiting insight and experience from Jefferson. He's an impartial voice. He's focused on not only helping Pittcon offer you more benefit, but also in advancing the exposition industry as a whole. So I call him the Titan of trade shows. He humbly won't let that moniker stick. So Jefferson, the virtual stage is yours.
All right, Rocco, thank you. You really gave me some big shoes to fill there. I appreciate it. And hey, you know what I want to say to everybody on this webinar? Like you, I've personally exhibited at a lot of shows. And I always felt over the years that the only time I heard from the show producer was when they wanted to sell me something, or they wanted a check, or they sent me that. It used to be the binder, and now the electronic service kit with all that stuff that I had to do. And so how cool is it for all of you on this webinar today to be partnered with a great organization like Pittcon, who, as Rocco said, doesn't want to just rent you concrete and hope it works out for you, but as a value add wants to provide you with ongoing education to make sure the time and the money that you invest delivers serious value for your company. So value is the name of the game. That's what we're talking about. And yeah, as Rocco mentioned, this makes 30 years with COVID and all the crazy stuff going on in the live event industry. I haven't even had time to celebrate it. So hopefully I'll find that window before the clock strikes midnight. But the main thing is what I'm committed to is really helping exhibitors like you turn your trade show program around. If you're currently making what I call an expensive appearance, I want to give you everything I've learned over my 30+ years and the $800 million in combined results I've been part of to help you win and win big at trade shows. So that's why we're all here today. So thanks so much for being with me. So today's session is titled Thrive Live. You know, if there's anything that we've learned over the last 20 months, you know, we all got pulled into virtual and we really gave it everything we had. Nothing beats the power of live face-to-face exhibit marketing. Virtual, we turned over every stone we could, but it's just not a replacement. And I think our industry at large understands that now. I think virtual will have some extension to the live event, but it's not going to replace live. So I don't know if you're excited about getting back to live events. Go to your chat or go to your question queue right now and give me a big yes. Right? Let me know if you're excited as we are. By the way, I have been to 5 live shows this year already. And I'm telling you, when you step onto that exhibit floor, you're going to have goosebumps. The energy that I'm seeing, the excitement, it's like we're coming out of the darkness and back into the light. And that's an exciting thing. So we're super pumped to get you ready for Pittcon. Hopefully you have your workbook. Hopefully you have a pen. Hopefully you have a calculator. So I want to start with a quick poll here because we invited not just our contracted exhibitors, but we invited our prospective exhibitors and we invited our previous exhibitors. So I would like to ask you, all of you on this webinar, fastest fingers, are you, at this point, are you contracted for Pittcon? Press the radio dial button that applies. The top of the list is, yeah, I'm in, wouldn't miss it for the world. The middle one is, I'm still considering. You know, I have some concerns. I have some worries. I'm not sure. Or maybe you're saying, well, I'm here. I want to learn about exhibiting, but I'm not planning on doing it at this point. Fastest fingers, radio dial button that applies, and I will share the results so everyone can see what's happening. I'll give you a countdown on 3, on 2, on 1. I want to share the results. So 77% of you are in. Thank you. You are with us. We are going to knock this thing out of the park. The 23% of you who are still considering, I hope that what we're going to talk about today, and I hope that what you can access on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center will give you the comfort and the confidence to join us as we reopen in 2022. So thanks for sharing your results. 77%, 20, the 80-20 rule, pretty much, right? Seems to hold true. Now, before I get into the topic again, I want to do one more quick poll. I would like to, when you think about re-entering live exhibiting, right now at this point, with everything going on, what would you say is your biggest concern? What are you most concerned about with coming back to live shows? Are you concerned? Is it safe to travel? Is it safe to get on airplanes? Is it safe? Is it safe to be in groups, you know, around a lot of people? Maybe you're concerned that, you know, because of the international restrictions, which, by the way, are gradually getting lifted for the vaccinated, maybe you're concerned that attendance is going to be down and you might struggle to get your fair share. Or maybe your business, like mine, and most of us in the trade show business, took a pretty strong hit financially from the pandemic. So you got to make sure that, right, that you get real value for the time and money. Fastest fingers, pick the radio dial button and applies, and I'll share the results. And I think this will also help me as we work through this content, where to focus my efforts. So about 75% of you have polled. If you haven't done so, please do so now. I'll give you a quick countdown on 3, 2, 1. Last chance to share your biggest concern. Oh, we're over 80%. Here we go. Rocco, I think you'll find these interesting. Safety is, interestingly, is toward the bottom part of the list. Only 3% are worried about travel, 6% are worried about large groups. The lion's share is in, how do I, as an exhibitor, make sure that I get value if attendance is down a little? And 27% of you are saying, hey, you know, we got hit from the pandemic. We got to make sure we get ROI. So thanks for sharing on that. I hope it's interesting to see what, you know, the Pittcon community's thinking. So let's get rolling here. We got a lot to do in a short period. Okay, those of you that are concerned about safety, there was a landmark study just released. It was a collaboration between Freeman and Epistemics. Epistemics is a medical research modeling company, and they were gathering all of the latest data, analyzing live shows that have happened already, and they put out a very interesting report at the end of August 2021, and I want to share the high-level findings of this report. Hey, and by the way, if you have a boss, a partner, an owner who's concerned about attending live events, I think this information is going to be extremely helpful for you. So the big takeaway that in-person business events can happen safely through the fall, despite the Delta variant and despite the seasonal increase in COVID cases that was expected. So they can happen. They are happening. Again, I've been at 5. I was just in Chicago last week at the NACS show, and outside of people wearing masks, I'm telling you, it felt like business as usual. The aisles were packed. People were engaging. They were thrilled to see each other. Booths were busy. So yeah, they totally can happen. Now, some of the reasons behind that is business events are different than like a rock concert or a football game, stuff like that. And one of the reasons is at the B2B events, according to the research, the vaccination rate is over 80% and it's climbing. Okay, and so what this means is the more people get vaccinated, the less the transmissibility of COVID-19 at business events. Number 3, this one's really important to think about and share with your team. When we do a live event, it's a very controlled, it's like a bubble, if you will. These events are a self-contained bubble. People have to register. We're in our own convention center, our own building. There are set times to do this and that, right? Even though we're in the city, outside of going to the restaurants and the hotels, we're relatively separate from the city, meaning that the in-person event has little or no impact on community spread and vice versa. Whatever's happening in the community doesn't appear to be impacting our trade events so far. Number 4, because of the tools that we've been using to conduct live events, such as PCR testing, vaccinations, PPE, social distancing, enhanced cleaning, it's helping. We've got a safe event. And number 5, I think will blow you away, is over 90% of the people that are attending live events right now are not opposed to these additional health and safety protocols because it enables us to get together safely. And, just know that anybody who does have issues and concerns are more than likely going to choose to stay home. So that's going to mitigate additional risks, in these controlled gatherings. And the bottom line was that coupled with high vaccination rates, essentially what the Freeman Epistemics research report said, that attending an in-person business event is no riskier. In fact, it may even be less risky than going to the grocery store or other essential daily activities. Okay, so this is very good information. Again, the shows that I've been at, I've asked all of the shows. Now, I can't ask the next show, they just ended last week. And the number of cases reported in all 4 events, 5 now that I've been at, that they know of, is less than 10 or 5. So that's great news. So if you've got concerns about safety, this is probably one of the safest environments you can go into. So some thoughts on safety. Again, I didn't create any of this. This is straight from, this is the executive summary of the Freeman and the Epistemics research report, which just came off toward the end of August. Okay. All right. Now let's step back for a minute. Okay. So we've been out of live events for what, a year and a half now? But if Pittcon is your only show, you know, my last Pittcon, it was one of the last shows I did. I was on the show floor in Chicago in 2020. And here we go, 2022. So for many of you, it will have been maybe 2 years. So the question that I want to ask and really talk about here is, how do we take this big sour lemon called the pandemic, right? And how do we squeeze it a little bit, and how do we get some lemonade out of it? So one of the greatest books, and I was so blessed as a 20-year-old young man to someone handed me this book. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book was written all the way back in the 30s. If you haven't read this book, it's a great read. I passed it on to both of my children, and I'm telling you, it's an incredible read. And there were so many important life lessons, things that have literally changed the trajectory of my life as a result of reading this at a young age. But one of them was this. Napoleon Hill said that every adversity, right, every failure, every heartache carries within it the seed of an equal or a greater benefit. So you might think right now, you know, about this downtime, right? You've been on the shelf with regard to, you know, you haven't been able to do exhibiting. So here's my question: have you taken full advantage of this downtime to look back at your entire exhibit program, how you approach it, and make tweaks and adjustments so that when you return, you can return even better than you before the pandemic? To me, that's been kind of the gift in all of this, is that many of us are running from show to show to show, and we're doing plus or minus the same thing, right? And we haven't had this window where we can become the casual observer, to stand off and look at your entire exhibiting program and make those adjustments and those tweaks, right, to make it better than before. That's what I'm challenging you to do. Okay, we're sitting here in October. Pittcon is in March. Okay, so you're like a little under 6 months away. Let's take the rest of this time here and let's really go to work. And let's just not re-enter the way we were before. Let's re-enter better than ever before. That's what I'm really calling you to do here. I'm calling every exhibitor to take this unique opportunity, because you may never have, hopefully you never will have this opportunity again, right? Where we get taken on the shelf for such a long time. So let's get into it. Now, I don't know individually what your job function or what your title is. I don't know if you're a marketing manager, you're an exhibit manager. I don't know if you're a small business and you're the owner. I don't know individually what your job function are. But if you have a boss or an owner that you report to, there are 2 high-level outcomes that he or she wants your exhibit program to deliver. Okay, so let's talk about these for a minute. Okay, the first one is that every dollar and every hour that you invest, write that word down, by the way, invest. Do not use the word spend when it comes to trade shows. Words have power. I'm telling you, if you view trade shows as an expense, they will end up as an expense for you. If you view them as an investment of what? Human capital, financial capital. You'll position yourself to get return on investment. So the first area is, how does your exhibiting program support your company's core business objectives? There are 3 big areas that trade shows directly support: marketing, customer relationship management, and sales. Now, there are many other objectives that you can set and it can support, but those are the big 3. Those are the big value drivers. So here's the question. If your boss walked in and asked you and said, hey, Rocco, you just spent $50,000, $100,000 on Pittcon. Can you tell me specifically how it's supporting our company's core business objectives?
I better be able to.
How would you answer that question? Right? That's a very important question to ask. And the second one, let's say that your CFO walks in and says, "Hey, Rocco, you just spent $100,000, $250,000 on a trade show. Can you show, tell, and prove to me where we got value beyond cost?" Those are the two major questions. And here's what I want for everybody on this webinar. I never want you to be behind the 8 ball where you do not have answers to these questions, right? The more of your job is tied up in managing the company's exhibiting program, the better you better be able to answer these questions. I mean, we could be talking job security here, right? So right now, I want you to think back to your last live show, and maybe it was Pittcon 2020 for you. And how well, if you had to score the way you were executing in 2020 or 2019, on a 1 to 10 on these two posts, a 10 is terrific, a 1 is terrible. How would you score it? Go to your question queue right now, everybody, and type like a 4 and a 7, or a 3 and an 8, or whatever you feel how well your exhibit program is visibly supporting core business objectives on a 1 to 10, and delivering financial value beyond cost on a 1 to 10. Go to your question queue and just type in like 3 and 6, 4, whatever it is for you. I don't know. Remember, I think it was Dr. Phil, that TV guy, who says, you can't fix what you don't acknowledge, right? And so if you'll take a moment to assess how well you scored in these two areas, you'll probably come to realize that there is room, a lot of room for improvement. So that's what we want to do. Let's get after this. Let's improve it. Now, some of you, I don't remember the poll. I think about 20% of you, 17% of you were saying that your business has been hit hard by the pandemic. You've lost revenue, you've lost customers. Therefore, cost justification is going to be important to you. But also, even for those of you who were concerned about attendance, right? You're saying, wow, you know, attendance is probably going to be down. I don't know if I can make this work. I want you to do this formula with me right now. This is a must do. I'm not going to let you off this webinar today until you've completed this 2-part formula I'm going to walk you through. You see, you want to bring some science, right? Pittcon is a very scientific event. You want to bring some numbers and some math and some science to your exhibiting program. So that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so the first question that I want to ask you is, if your company lost revenue due to the pandemic, what is it that you need right now? I think I know what that answer is. You need FaceTime with potential customers. You need leads. You need proposals. You need contracts. You need sales, right? Second, how important is face-to-face contact, right? In how you hold on to your existing customers and how you bring in new customers. How important is FaceTime? And number 3, if you were thinking, yeah, maybe we'll set out 2022, here's the question that you should ask yourself and your boss. How does not exhibiting help you get what you need right now? Right? It's a really good question. How does not exhibiting help? Very pointed questions to make sure that everybody's thinking and acting clearly. Now, here's the formula I'm going to walk you through right now. Okay, so make sure you got a pen, make sure you got a calculator, and I believe there's space in your workbook to do this with me. Okay, so let's do this. Here we go. So I want you to write down, what is your total show budget for Pittcon? That includes everything. That includes your floor space. That includes your exhibit. That includes your freight and your shipping. That includes your show services. That includes your lead retrieval. That includes your marketing. That includes your travel and your staff, everything. The budgeting rule of thumb that you want to start at is floor space cost times 3 as a minimum. I like to go floor space times 4 or floor space times 5. Why? So I have enough money to do the things the average exhibitor is not going to do, so I can stand out from the crowd, right? So first, write down your total show budget right now. Remember your budgeting rule of thumb, floor space times 3, 4, or 5. In my example, I'm going to say my business got hit. The best I can afford is times 3. My total investment is going to be around $9,900. Now, Pittcon, the exhibit hall, is open 22 hours. I want you to win the game from your exhibit. Anything that happens in the golden hours in the morning, the entertaining hours in the evening, it's like the icing on the cake. So I want you to win it, but I want you to work the whole event, but I want you to win from your exhibit. So you have 22 hours. Now, question, how many people, your staff, are going to be in your booth for the purpose of talking to scientists, to visitors? Okay, the staffing rule of thumb is 50 square feet per staffer. If you have a 10 by 10 booth, your staffing full-time equivalent is 2, maybe 3, if you don't have a lot of stuff in your booth. Write down the number of booth staff. Now, listen very carefully to this. I want you to set a clear and firm target number of interactions per hour per staffer. By interaction, I just mean that your booth staff is talking to an attendee. The range, 3 is conservative, 4 is moderate, 5 slightly maybe aggressive. So I want you to pick a number between 3 to 5. You know, if you're feeling attendance is going to be down, then lean toward the 3, right? Lean toward the 3. 3 to 5. Now, I want you to multiply all that number of hours times staff times target number of interaction per hour per staffer. This is, listen carefully, this is possibly the most important number you will ever understand about exhibiting. Because at the end of the day, trade shows are about face, right? Putting your company identity, your products, your staff face to face with people that use, influence, specify, recommend, or make buying decisions for what you sell. So in my example, I have the capacity for 132 face-to-face one-to-one interactions in my booth. What is your number? Go to your question queue and type it in right now. I want to see everybody's number. I'm not going to share it. It's for my eyes only, but I want to know that you did this exercise. Because if you're serious about winning Pittcon, this is a magic number that you have to know. Hey, Rocco, by the way, our last Pittcon, which was live in 2020, the last one we were at in Chicago, what was the total attendance ballpark?
I'll have to check, but I think it was around 9 or 10,000.
Okay, 9 or 10,000. All right.
Yeah.
So
we'll say 9,500 to be safe.
9,500. So everybody write that number down. So let's say that attendance is off by 20%. And we ended up with around 7,000 attendees. For you to win the game as an exhibitor, all you got to do is attract and interact with 132 of the right people. You see, the truth is, this is what I call inside the numbers. The numbers tell the story. People are freaking out. They're going, oh, I don't know if there's going to be enough attendees at the show. Hey, look, all you have the capacity. This number is not only telling you reality, but it's telling you this is your capacity. Now, if you don't like the number, can you change the number of hours in the show? No, you can't. They're fixed. Can you change the number of booth staff? Maybe. Can you change the number of interactions per hour per staffer? Probably, right? But here's the thing. Don't get so caught up in whether there's going to be 6,000, 8,000, or 15,000 attendees. That's not the most important number, but everybody gets caught up in that. For you to win the game, in this example, you just need to attract 132 of the right people, and you will have an extremely productive and ultimately a profitable exhibit. Now, speaking of profit, maybe you've got a CFO or a CEO who says, hey, money's tight. We really got to make sure we're getting value for every dollar that we invest. So I want you to divide your total number of interactions into your total show budget. In my example, look at this. 132 into $9,825 means my CPI, my cost per interaction, is $74. Now, look at the footnote to the right. The average cost to put a body in front of a body out in the field, not at a trade show, out in the field, is on the low end $598 to an average of $1,114. So if your boss is looking at this and saying, hey, this is a lot of money, I don't know that we should be doing this, show him or her your cost per interaction. Because here's what I would ask you. If I called you on the phone and told you I had one scientific professional, I'm going to drive them to my business, to your business. I'm going to leave them with you for as long as they want to stay. When they're done, I'm going to drive them home. Would you pay me $74 to bring them to your business? Yes or no? I think the answer is yes. My follow-up question is, how many would you want me to bring? Right? In this example, 132. Now, return on investment. There's an important number that you have to know as a marketing manager or a small business owner. It is either what your average sale amount is or what the value of a customer is. So if you have a one-time sale, they buy a piece of equipment from you and they're done, they don't buy anything else, use your average sale amount. If you have a repeat sale where once they buy monthly, quarterly, annually, then try to estimate what the value over time of a customer is to you. This is how you plan for return on investment. So in this example, let's say I have a one-time sale. I sell a microscope. It's a very advanced microscope, very expensive, $5,000 microscope, right? And my exhibiting investment is $98.25. For me to get a 100% top line cash in the bank return on investment, I need to, over time, I need to close about 2 sales. Now, so the question I would ask you is, so what are the odds, right? If you put your company identity, your products, your staff face to face with 132 scientific professionals, that over time you could pull 2 customer or sales out of. The conversion rate is only 1.5%. That sounds very doable to me. Okay, so I just gave you some numbers here, not only to help you plan your exhibit interaction capacity, but help you justify the investment and show you where and how to get a financial return on your investment. Now, I've thrown a lot at you here. Any questions you have, go to your question queue and type in right now. Okay, so how are we going to do this, right? How are we going to do this? You know what's crazy about exhibiting? The average company spends 41% of their annual marketing budget. Write that down. 41% of their annual marketing budget is spent on exhibit and event marketing. 98% of the people that are managing the spend have no formal training or education in how to do this. They don't teach this stuff in college, right? How many of you on this webinar with me have a degree in marketing? How many hours of exhibiting education did you get in your college curriculum? I've been asking this question for over 20 years. You know what the typical answer is? An hour or less. An hour or less. So what I've been doing for 30 years, being process-based and results-focused, is trying to identify what are the critical success factors. What are the things you and me and we as exhibitors have to address if we're going to win the game? And here's the process. I've been running this, fine-tuning it, validating it. I have been able to trace through my own company and my clients $800 million in combined results from shows by following the process. There are 8 strategic areas that you need to focus on. And notice we have them in linear order from left to right: pre-event, during event, and post-event. Here's the promise. If you address all 8 of these areas, not only will you win at Pittcon, you'll win at every show you do. Here's the warning. If you skip, neglect, or hop over any one or any combination of these factors, you're going to struggle. It's going to limit the results that you get, right? So if results are the name of your game, the process is your playbook, the exhibit marketing process. Select, make sure you're in the right show. Align your exhibiting reasons with your company goals, right? Design an interactive, valuable learning experience. Attract enough of the right people. How much is enough? I just showed you that number. Engage the visitors, right? Impress them, find that opportunity, capture information-rich leads and have a clear next action. Follow up, follow through, stay in touch, do what you say you're going to do. Convert those commitments to actions and measure, right? That's the game plan, right? So that's what we want to work on. So I would like you to stop right now, look at this grid. And if you did not score a 9 or a 10 on how well your exhibit program is delivering value and supporting goals, here's my question. Which of these 8 areas are impacting your results, right? Which areas are impacting your results? You can use this as a diagnostic tool. You can figure out exactly where your gaps are, and you can fill your, hey, companies pay me $10, $20, $30,000 to come in as a consultant trainer and help them fill the gaps. I'm sharing the process that I use. I'm going to give you access to almost everything that I do, all free through Pittcon. The only question is, are you going to use it, right? Are you going to use it? And so you start by assessing how well are you delivering on those 2 high-level outcomes. And you look at these 8 areas and you ask yourself, which of these do I need to learn more about? Which of these areas do I need to execute better around? Again, address all 8, you'll win, and you'll win big at every show. Okay, so let's keep rolling here. My bullets are a little off here, but let me give you some quick takeaways for the exhibit marketing process. Listen very carefully to this. Everybody has reasons. If I were to ask all of you, why are you exhibiting? I know you got reasons. You're going to tell me brand awareness, to educate the market, to generate leads, to position and differentiate our company, thought leadership, right? Those are all reasons, but reasons are not enough. You got to take the next step and create goals, written goals backed up with a written action plan, right? In those big 3 areas, marketing, sales, and customer relationship management. The major question you have to ask, when the doors close on Pittcon 2022, how will we know we've won in the area of marketing, in the area of sales, and in the area of customer relationship management? Not only when the doors close, but 90, 180 days after the show, right? If you can reach out, right, and begin with the end in mind, right? Like Stephen Covey taught in 7 Habits, habit 2, begin with the end in mind, right? Now you just reverse engineer the outcome. Clarity is power, right? Knowing your outcomes is power. Would you believe that according to Exhibitor magazine, only 24% of exhibitors have written goals for trade shows? Would you believe that 76% have reasons but no goals? Reasons aren't enough. I can't say it cleaner than that. Number 3, when it comes to your money, keep strict accounts. Have a total show budget divided up by the 9 major areas where the dollar goes. Keep track of your money. It's easy to go over budget on shows. Benchmark, right? And by the way, we've got a free tool on the Pittcon ESRC that you can download. It's ready to roll. It's a complete budget worksheet, line items, everything. It has 33 ways to save money on your exhibit program. Number 4, clarity. Clarity of your outcomes is power, but who is your target visitor, right? When you ran that number, for me, it was 132. I don't know what your number was, right? But who are the 132 best people that if you only saw these people at Pittcon would make the entire show worthwhile? Your target visitor, right? Many of you exhibiting have a lot of stuff. You have a lot of products, you got a lot of services, and you try to cram too much in your booth. When it comes to an exhibit, less is more. If you have a lot of solutions, lead with new. New is a magnet. Augment it with hot, trending, top of the mind solution, and fill it out with your bread and butter, right? Leave everything else at home. You can cross-sell anything once you have the engagement. But if you try to be everything to everybody, you'll end up being nobody to anybody, right? So less is more. Number 6, remember this. People are not, especially at a scientific event like Pittcon, they are not coming to be sold. They're coming to learn. They're coming to solve problems. They're coming to seize opportunities that they're working on. So don't worry so much about selling. If you teach, if you help them solve problems, if you show them how to seize opportunities, the money will follow, right? Keep that top of the mind. Don't worry so much about your product, what your service is. Worry more about what you can teach and the problems you can solve. Number 7, listen very carefully to this. The number one way that attendees want to engage with your exhibit is through some form of a product or service presentation or demonstration. It's a very tactile, very hands-on, very scientific group. They don't want to sit there and stare at a video screen. They don't want to sit there and read literature. They want to touch stuff. They want to do stuff. Give very careful thought to how you stage and how you create an interactive learning experience in your booth. Number 8. There are 2 major questions in potential customers' minds that you're going to need to address. The first one is why at all, right? And that is your value proposition. And you actually have 2 value propositions. One is for your exhibit experience. Out of the hundreds of exhibits that are going to be at Pittcon, why should they visit yours? And when it comes to your product or service, why should they be interested in it? Again, think less about your products, think more about the problems and the opportunities, right? And the second one is why you? And that is your unique selling proposition. So you have to create a value prop and you have to create a unique selling prop. And you need to integrate these into your entire exhibit marketing program. These are the questions. Why at all? Why you? If you want to win the game, get in the mind, get on the agenda of the right people. Make sure you execute a highly targeted and a well-designed pre-show marketing campaign. All right? Do you know that 80% of exhibitors do little or no pre-marketing? 80% of exhibitors rent space, show up, and hope enough people attend. Hope they get into the exhibit hall. Hope they pass your booth. Hope is not a strategy, right? So how do you win this game? You get clear on how much capacity. I showed you how to do that. You get clear on who the right people are. You develop a value proposition. You use a targeted pre-show campaign that puts you and visiting your booth in their mind and on their agenda. That's how you win the game before kickoff. Number 10, when it comes to your exhibit, we have evaluated 36,542 booths as of last week since I started my exhibiting effectiveness program. We're going to be at Pittcon doing E3 again this year, live, right? Don't let your exhibit get lost in the crowd, right? Stand off from your exhibit through the eyes of a stranger and look at it. Does it grab attention? Is it quickly evident what you do? Is there a value proposition? Is there a reason why an exhibitor should stop and engage? Is it quickly evident who you are? You got to make sure that your exhibit is designed properly, okay? And we have also done standout exhibits for Pittcon, which are on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center, where you can see a photographic report of exhibits that we walked the entire show floor and said, this booth rocks. If you want to see how to do a good exhibit, look at this. Remember this, number 11. The exhibiting environment is different and it's challenging. Time, right? Short interaction, information overload, high competitive presence, right? This environment is different and it's challenging. And most of us haven't thought how it's different and how we need to adapt our communication skills and our behaviors in this environment. So number 12, your staff, your people, they're going to make or break your success. I was just at the NAC show. There's a booth there that I have evaluated, and this marketing manager is an absolute genius. He every year comes up with a exhibit experience that mind's blowing, but I saw something this year and I pointed it out to him. His booth staff were looking and acting like they didn't want to be there. He had hundreds of people going through this theater experience. His booth staff was standing on the other side of the aisle with a cell phone in one hand and a Starbucks in the other. His exhibit didn't deliver the results, even though he had an incredible exhibit, because he missed one of the most important elements. Put your best people forward and train them on how to interact in this competitive environment called a trade show. Number 13, if return on investment is your goal and you're not writing orders or signing contracts at the show, you got to accept that the real product, the thing you're going to walk off the show floor with, is leads. So that being said, we got to define what isn't a lead. We have to have a good qualification process. We have to have a good capture tool or device. And we have to train our staff on how to guide the conversation and capture information-rich, committed next action leads. Number 14, measurement. What gets measured gets done. What gets measured gets improved. In fact, it's very difficult to improve what you're not measuring. So all of us as exhibitors need a simple set of performance metrics. How well did you execute your exhibit? We need financial performance metrics, right? Financial. Where and how did you get value beyond cost? And finally, you should walk off of every trade show floor in your post-show meeting identifying 3 things, 3 lessons that you're going to apply at your next show so you can get better and better and better. And this is how you get into the top 10% of every show you do. Now you're saying, Jefferson, you just threw a literally like 2 days full of content right there. Well, we're not going to stop there. I'm kind of saying, here's the 2 high-level goals. Here's the 8 strategic areas. Here are some of the key takeaways. I want to point you to kind of like, now what? Okay. Rocco mentioned this at the beginning of the webinar. We have been building this out over the last several years. There are webinars. There are downloadable tools, Excel spreadsheets, cost control tool, measurement tool, management tool. There are planning exercises, or 5 planning exercises. There are articles. You have the ability to ask me and my team questions at any time. It's all free. It's all there. But to help you sift through all this, I'm going to kind of give you a countdown to Pittcon right now. And I'm going to kind of explain how to really, where to focus your effort on a month-by-month basis leading up to Pittcon. So let's close out with this. All right, we're here in mid-October. So you do have, some time in October here too. So I want you focused on planning and defining your outcomes. I want you to develop your strategy. How are we going to accomplish that? I want you to think about your visitor experience, your booth, your demonstration, your presentation. And I want you to keep tight control over your money and your costs. So I want you to download the trade show planning and measurement tool and the cost control tool. It's on the ESRC. Over the next month or so, I want you to complete these exercises. Define your outcomes, manage your experience. We have webinars. Look at these webinars: getting ROI, integrating content strategy, dynamic demos. I want you to read these articles. It's all on the ESRC. It's all free. It's all there. And when you got questions, fire away. I'm here. No sales pitch, just expert advice, free for you, courtesy of Pittcon, right? January, I really want you to get focused on pre-marketing your participation. I want you to do the selectively attracting the right audience exercise. I want you to watch these webinars, right? Using social media, how to win the game before kickoff, getting your staff ready. I want you to watch our training videos, Secrets of the Isles. I want you to read these articles. Don't try to eat this elephant all in one bite. Chunk it down, right? Take it month by month. And February, lead management, training your staff, getting your measurement system in play, and executing everything you've done over these few months. There's a financial performance measurement tool. We have 2 exercises which will help you define your lead management system and your measurement metrics. Watch the webinars, read the articles, ask the questions. So as you can see, today is a beginning, not an end. You are setting in the perfect sweet spot. Pittcon is just under 6 months out. You have access to proven effective training, tools, resources. But it takes time, it takes effort. Because you're on this webinar today, I think you're serious about this. I don't think you'd be here if you weren't. There are many exhibitors who are, struggling at shows, right? But because they've done shows for 10 years, they think they know it all. Key phrase. I heard this a couple months ago. I love this quote. It's what you learn after you know it all that matters. So I hope that I've motivated you. I hope that I've inspired you. I hope that I've given you a little teaser about how powerful trade shows can be if you see them and you execute them properly. I hope that you will make the commitment to take these next few months and get ready to thrive live at Pittcon 2022. There's no reason why you can't win and win big, right? But it's going to come down to what? It's going to come down to action. You have the opportunity, you have the knowledge resource, you have the tools, you have the planning exercises. The only question is, are you going to do it? Somebody once said, knowledge is power. I don't agree with that. I think knowledge intelligently applied is power. You've got access to it all right now. So it's my hope that you will take this bull by the horns and get ready to join us, right, in Atlanta 2022 and blow this audience away. I want your exhibit to be the exhibit that is packed with the right people. I want people to walk out of your exhibit and go, man, have you been to this exhibit? You got to go check out this experience. That's what I want for you. And I'm telling you, it's there for every one of you. You just got to, one bite at a time, apply, follow the 8-step process that I showed you. It works. I don't care if you're in a 10 by 10 or 100 by 100 booth. I don't care if you sell a product or a service. It works for everybody who applies it. So that's my hope that you will apply. So with that, I'm going to toss it back to Rocco for any additional thoughts while I take a look into the question queue here.
Yeah, thanks, Jefferson. That is always great to hear. It's very energizing. As you're doing this, I'm texting my coworkers who are in the office here and saying, "Did you hear that part? What do you think?" And we just bounce ideas off of each other after these webinars, even though we know what's coming because we see the slides beforehand. Always great stuff. I just wanted to say thanks again to everyone. I can speak for myself here, and I know that I can speak for probably the rest of our staff and our committee here, is that, we don't look as Pittcon as us selling a show to you. We want to look at it as us partnering with you to make the best show possible. So with that in mind, I urge anyone who's a current exhibitor, who's not yet signed up even, that's considering to be an exhibitor, again, whether you're new, whether you're an exhibitor that has been previously with Pittcon, to please contact us. You can contact me. The easiest way to do it is marketing@pittcon.org. That comes to me. My name is Rocco Pacella. You can hit me at Pacella, that's Pacella, at pittcon.org as well. Both go directly to my inbox. Please give me a call. Please give me an email. I mean, if you're currently an exhibitor, ask me about sponsorships. We have free press conferences. We want to help you make this as good of a show as possible. If you're not yet an exhibitor, give us a contact anyway, and we'll walk you through the exhibiting process and make it very easy. And as you can see by today's presentation, very beneficial with the information that we're arming you with. So again, let's look at this as we do as a partnership from this point on. We want it to be as successful as possible for you.
Okay, Rocco, we do have a few questions, and the first two I think are really difficult to answer with any specificity at this point, but I can tell you what I'm seeing. The first question was, how many attendees are you expecting in 2022?
Yeah.
Right now, what I can tell you industry-wide, that the average show, now this is right now, we're in October, Pittcon's all the way out in March, 6 months away. The average show attendance is off 30 to 40%.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Which is a lot of our international audience. Maybe that's about a third of our attendance is international.
Yeah.
So here's what Pittcon has different now, as if things hold steady. If we can hold the line on where we are right now with the virus situation, travel between the U.S. and Europe is opening up November 1st.
Yes.
So we are looking at much of that 1/3 difference, and this is what we experienced at Pittcon 2020. So much of that 1/3 difference is going to be able to travel to Pittcon. Yes, we're going to be fighting a stigma, as we all are, as all other shows have, small and large. And everything in between. We've been fighting the stigma. But what we will have different is, again, if we hold the line on this, if the world holds the line, then we are going to have most of that 1/3 able to travel again. We're hoping that the Asian market follows suit, and that we can have our partners from China, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, and other countries join us as well again. So going back to what we had in 2022, yes, we had less. We had about a third less than we would, which is reflective of the information you just gave us, Jefferson. But what we noticed in 2020 at Pittcon 2020 in Chicago, which was quite literally 1 week prior to the nation began to shut down, what we noticed is that there was a incredible amount of engagement too. So we're hoping that, with people then knowing that things were coming, that we were going to be shutting down, or at least having that in the back of their heads, let's turn that on the other side of that spectrum, and let's see, people that are looking forward to being back into full in-person Pittcon as it was before. And we're hoping that again, let's continue to open things up here. Let's hope that we can get our Asian partners there and move forward with this.
Okay, thank you, Rocco. Let me see. The next question was just a basic one. Will we receive a copy of this presentation? Yes, it was recorded. Because you registered and or showed up, go to webinar, you'll receive an automatic replay link. And it will also be available through the Pittcon Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. So I think we've covered a lot of ground. That's all I'm seeing for questions. I want to thank everybody for investing time with us today. I know I threw a lot at you quickly. One bite at a time. One bite at a time. The 8-step process I gave you is the blueprint, the roadmap, and it's been validated, proven. Use any and everything you can, and know that we're all here to help you. So with that, on behalf of Rocco and the great management team at Pittcon and my team here at Competitive Edge, I just want to thank everybody for starting this journey with us. And let's do this. Let's go take live shows back. Let's put on a show in March in Atlanta that blows the industry's mind, that makes everybody say, man, if you miss Pittcon, you missed the greatest show of 2022. That's our goal. We are going to do another webinar. We're going to do a deeper dive. Make a note here on January 11th. I'm going to do a deep dive on lead management. I'm going to really take you inside of how to define what isn't a lead, develop your qualification criteria, show you how to customize your device, show you how to really get information-rich, committed next action leads. Put that on your calendar, January 11th. You will receive invitation and information from Pittcon. So on with that, I want to close this webinar. Watch your email for the survey, give us some feedback, and we will see you again very soon. Thanks for logging in, everybody.